Please. I've been searching for 10 years. The letters we never sent by Margaret Lennox. Any copy, any condition.
I am sorry, miss. That book has been out of print longer than I've been alive. I've never seen a copy.
At the next stall, Charles Bennet heard the title and stopped breathing. It was the book his mother had read to him every night until she passed. He carried it with him always, the only copy he'd ever found. Without a moment's hesitation, he pulled it from his bag. He walked to the woman's table and, before she could speak, set the book down in front of her, faded, worn, but whole.
I've dreamt of finding this for 10 years. How do you have it?
It doesn't matter how, it's yours now.
She looked from the book to his face, tears welling, a decade of searching dissolving into this impossible moment. He stood with his hands empty, watching her hold his mother's book as if it were a sacred relic. She clutched the book to her chest, unable to speak, the weight of 10 years lifting in one stranger's gesture.
I can't just take this. You have to let me pay you something. This is priceless.
I don't need money, please just take it. It's been waiting for someone who really wants it.
You don't understand. My father read this to me every night. Our copy was lost in a flood when I was 12. It's all I have left of him.
It was my mother's. She died when I was young. I've carried it for years, but I don't need the book to keep her with me anymore.
He pulled a pen from his pocket, scribbled his number on a bent receipt, and tucked it into the book's cover.
Wait, I didn't even ask your name. Who are you?
Charles Bennet. You'll find my number inside. Call me when you've read it if you want to talk about the book.
Before she could argue, he disappeared into the maze of stalls, his empty hands cutting through the crowd. She looked down at the worn cover, then at the slip of paper, and whispered a promise to herself. She walked away clutching the book, the weight of 10 years finally lifted, but replaced by a new ache, curiosity about the man who had given it. That night, in her quiet apartment, Emma placed the worn book on her lap and opened it at last. The margins were alive with handwritten notes, underlined passages, tiny cursive comments, initials. Beside a highlighted sentence, a faded note read, "So true, Monsieur." Emma's breath caught. A stranger had lived inside this book, and now it was in her hands. She turned page after page, finding more notes, each one a whisper from the past.
This wasn't just a book. It was someone's heart.
She picked up the creased receipt with Charles's number, her fingers trembling.
I can't just keep this. I need to understand.
She dialed each digit slowly. The book opened to the title page in her lap. The line rang, and she held her breath, ready to give back something she'd only just received. The next day, Emma found Charles already seated in a quiet corner of the coffee shop, 2 cups on the table.
I brought the book. The notes in the margins. They're everywhere. Did your mother write them?
She did. She read it so many times the spine cracked. Her initials, M, are on most pages.
M. I kept seeing that. My father never wrote in our copy, but he underlined the same way.
I didn't know anyone else loved this book like she did. I thought it was just ours.
He hesitated, then quietly told her about his mother dying when he was 14.
I was 12 when my father died. The flood took our home and the book. I thought I'd lost his voice forever.
Then maybe this book was meant to find you. It's still full of someone's voice.
They fell into a charged silence, both realizing they hadn't just traded a book, they'd traded grief.
Will you look through it with me? I want to see if any of these underlined passages match what I remember. It sounds crazy, but I need to know.
They met on the old park bench under the oak, the book open between them like a shared secret.
My father always stopped at the letters unsent. He'd say, "Some words are too heavy for paper."
It's underlined. And next to it, my mother wrote, "Ask yourself what you haven't said."
There's another, the part about the sea. Dad underlined that too.
She underlined this one 3 times, and she wrote, "Beautiful."
3 of the 4 passages she remembered were underlined, in the same hand. The coincidence was impossible. A man in a tailored coat emerged from the tree line, his eyes locked on the book. He introduced himself as a collector and offered a sum that made Emma's eyes widen.
It's not for sale. Not at any price.
The man's smile faded. He told them to reconsider, then disappeared into the park, leaving a chill behind. The collector didn't retreat. He called Charles 7 times, followed Emma to her bus stop, and told the landlord she'd stolen a rare book.
He called my job. My supervisor thinks I am hiding something valuable. I don't know how to answer.
Then we don't answer. We stay behind locked doors and figure out why this book matters more than any price.
They turned every page, comparing each old underline against Emma's memory, and the pattern grew impossible to dismiss.
Here. The Roses passage. Dad said it was the heart of the whole story.
She wrote, "The roses make it worth the thorns." Underlined. That's the 20th match, Emma.
They stared at the marks, 2 sets of hands across time, tracing the same lines.
My mother wrote something on the title page. We haven't read it yet.
I can't. Not tonight. I feel like I am about to open a door I can't close.
So they shut the book and let it rest on the table, but the mystery didn't sleep. It waited.
I can't sleep knowing the inscription is there. I have to read it now.
She reached for the worn cover and opened it to the title page, her fingers trembling.
To my Charles, with all my love, may this book bring you the light it brought me. Mom.
That's her handwriting. She wrote that before she gave it to me.
Emma's face lost every trace of color. She whispered words that made the air stop.
My father wrote, to my Emma, with all my love, may this book bring you the light it brought me. Dad.
They stared at each other, the impossible truth settling over the quiet room.
The same words. Every single one, except the names. How?
They never met. My father never left this state. How could this happen?
The book lay open to the title page, a bridge between 2 families that had never touched until now.
It's like he's right here. I've missed him so much. Every night, I thought I'd hear his voice again.
I feel her in these pages too. I thought I'd let her go, but tonight she's closer than ever.
Emma's hands shook around a cold cup of tea. The grief of a decade was rising, but so was a strange sense of peace.
Don't let go. Don't let this slip away like the flood took everything. How do we keep this safe? It's more than a book now. It's a piece of them.
We protect it together. Whatever it takes.
His phone buzzed again. The collector's 5th call that evening, a sharp intrusion into the quiet.
I am blocking his number. He can't touch this book. Not now. Not ever.
He silenced the phone, and the room settled into a fragile stillness, 2 strangers no longer. Emma reached across the table and rested her hand on the book, next to his. No more words. They simply guarded a miracle. 3 days later, a certified letter arrived at Charles's apartment, thick with legal threats. The collector claimed the book was stolen and demanded $30,000 or its immediate return.
Maybe we should listen. That money could pay my debt and help you too.
I won't profit from my mother's words. It's not for sale.
You are clinging to a ghost. She's gone, Charles. This book won't bring her back.
You don't understand sacrifice. I gave up everything to keep her memory alive.
I understand sacrifice. I lost my home, my father, every photo. You still have a home.
Then why sell the proof? It's a miracle, and you are throwing it away.
I can't breathe in here. Keep the book, Charles. Keep your ghost.
The door clicked shut. Charles stared at the book, his hand shaking above it, unable to touch. A week of silence ended when Charles found her on their bench, under the oak.
I've been here every day, hoping you'd come back.
I was scared. Not of the collector, of losing something else I love.
I was scared of letting her go, but holding on so tight made me blind to what I was holding on to.
We both lost people we can't replace. But maybe they didn't mean for us to be alone.
The book isn't about ownership, it's about sharing the words, the voice, what they left behind. I want us to read it aloud, together. Would you do that?
I thought I'd never hear his voice again. But if we read it, maybe I will.
She took his hand on the bench, and between them lay not a book, but a promise.
Tomorrow. We start tomorrow.
The next evening, They sat on Charles's sofa, the worn book open to the first chapter.
There are letters we write but never send, and they weigh most of all.
He sounds like he's reading from a place that knows those letters. My father underlined that line. I remember his pencil mark as clearly as his voice.
My mother wrote, so heavy in the margin. They both felt the same weight.
They fell silent, the first chapter binding them in a shared ache that neither needed to explain.
This is exactly what we needed. To hear it aloud, the way they would have read it to us.
Let's do this every Tuesday. We'll read a chapter and talk after.
Tuesdays. I'll bring the tea.
They closed the book gently, and the quiet room felt less empty than before. By the fourth Tuesday, reading aloud felt less like a tribute and more like breathing. A cease and desist from Charles's lawyer eliminated the collector's threats entirely. The book was theirs alone.
My father used to laugh at this part. The one about the stolen hat. I can still hear it.
My mother called it the funniest chapter in the book. She underlined ridiculous 3 times.
They read on, finding comfort in the pencil lines that connected two strangers across the years. After nightfall, the living room felt too small for the feelings growing there, but neither spoke of it.
I didn't know silence could feel so full.
Neither did I. This book, it's doing more than I expected.
The ritual became their sanctuary, a weekly tether to the past that kept them present. And in the quiet between chapters, they learned to listen to what the other did not say. That Tuesday, Emma invited Charles to her apartment. He arrived with the worn book and a small bunch of wildflowers.
Your place is lovely. It feels like a library.
These were my father's reading glasses. I found them after the flood. It's all I have left besides the book.
They must have seen these same pages. Your father's eyes traced these lines through those very lenses.
Sometimes I think I am forgetting his voice. But when we read, I hear him again.
I used to be afraid of forgetting my mother's laugh. This book brings it back.
They sat in a charged silence, the weight of what they weren't saying pressing against the quiet.
I am glad you are here, Charles. Not just for the book.
I know. I am glad I am here too.
He left late, and neither spoke of what hung between them. That night, both lay awake, thinking of the other, and of the still unread final chapters. The final Tuesday arrived on a rain-swept evening. Charles lit candles, and they opened the book to the last chapter.
I am afraid to finish it. This book has been our bridge.
Then let it lead us to the other side.
Charles read the final pages, his voice steady, Emma's tears silent. Beneath the last printed line, his mother's sloping handwriting appeared.
To whoever reads this next, may you find the love I did.
He closed the book, and the room held its breath. Emma reached across and took his hand, her voice barely a whisper, and then, without a word, they leaned in and kissed, a gentle seal on the story they'd given each other. The worn book rested on the table, its margins full of love that had finally come full circle.
Giving that book away was the best decision I ever made.
It brought my father back. I can hear him in every page.
They sat in the quiet, knowing the book was no longer his or hers, but theirs.
We should add something. Write our own inscription for whoever reads it next.
For those who read together, love finds a way.
Emma opened the book to the blank page after the title and picked up the pen. She wrote the words in careful script, then handed the pen to Charles to add his name. They looked at the page, where 3 inscriptions now stood like a family portrait. A soft laugh escaped them, then silence as the weight of the moment settled. The book was complete, a chronicle of love from mother, father, and now them. Months later, at the spring book fair, they walked hand in hand through the stalls. Emma paused at the spot where she had once searched for the letters we never sent.
I remember standing right there, feeling like I'd never find it. And then you appeared.
Charles bought a slim volume of poetry from a nearby shelf and handed it to her.
For us. It's lovely. You are making me into a book collector after all.
Remember the collector? I heard he gave up and moved away.
Good. This fair isn't about desperate searches anymore. It's about discovering together.
She touched the worn book in her bag, the one that had started everything. They strolled on, the new poetry book in her hand, the the old one a familiar weight at her side. The fair buzzed with life, but their treasure was already held between them. At home, Charles slid the worn book onto the shelf beside his mother's old photo.
It's earned its rest. No more collectors, no threats, just a book on a shelf, just a book on a shelf.
Emma reached up and gently took it down again, holding it as she had the first day.
We should read it again next year. Every year, like a tradition.
A tradition. I like that. Mom would have liked it too.
They settled onto the sofa without opening the book, just being still together. The book sat on the shelf, its spine cracked but proud, a testament to all it had carried. In the quiet, they didn't need words. Their story was written in the space between them. After a while, Emma leaned her head on his shoulder, and the world outside disappeared. The book's story had ended, but theirs had only just begun. A year later, on a quiet autumn evening, Charles took the worn book from the shelf.
Let's open it to a random page, see what finds us.
Emma leaned close as he flipped to a passage near the middle.
The letters we never sent are the ones that carry the most truth.
And the ones we send are only shadows of what we meant.
They paused, the familiar words settling differently now.
It's strange. Every time I hear this, I think of Dad, but also of us.
That's why we read it, to keep them alive, and to remind ourselves why we're here.
She traced the inscription page with her finger, then closed the book softly. They sat in the lamplight, the book on the table, no longer a mystery, but a member of the family. On a clear October afternoon, they walked through the cemetery gates, the worn book under Charles's arm. Emma knelt beside her father's grave and opened the book to a page marked by a pressed flower.
This was his favorite, the passage about the letters unsent. Some words are too heavy for paper.
My mother added, but they still weigh on the heart.
They stood in silence, the October wind stirring the leaves around the headstone. Emma placed a small stone on the grave, a token of remembrance. Charles laid a pressed flower beside it, a blossom from the park where they first read together. Then they rose, Emma's hand finding Charles's, the book now in his grip. They walked away, leaving the story to rest with the man who had first read it to her. The worn book passed from his mother to her father, and now to them, a circular gift that would never end. Back in their sunlit living room, Charles set the worn book on the coffee table, the day's emotion still quiet in the air.
Sometimes I still can't believe it. Two parents living hundreds of miles apart, writing the exact same inscription.
Maybe it wasn't coincidence. Maybe they wanted us to find each other.
She glanced at the framed photo of his mother on the shelf, then back at the book.
Then it's the best gift I've ever received. Your father and my mother conspiring across states.
Emma smiled, her hand resting on the worn cover, the initials M and her father's ghost nearby.
We don't have to solve it. We just have to keep it safe and keep reading.
They sat in a comfortable silence, the mystery no longer a question but a presence. The camera pulls back, showing shelves filled with books and photographs, their life together framed in the golden afternoon. They didn't need to understand how. They simply accepted it as a gift. On their shelf, a digital composite held both parents, his mother, her father, side by side. The worn book rested among its peers, its spine a quiet herald of the love it contained. At the cafe, Charles made Emma laugh, the book safely tucked in her bag. On the park blanket, they read aloud, the autumn leaves whispering with their parents. The cover was faded, but the words inside had never been more alive. Hand in hand, they walked through the spring book fair, the book a familiar weight at her side. The composite photo smiled down from the shelf, proof that distance never mattered. Some gifts are more than objects. They are invitations to live, and so they lived, with a story that never stopped giving. The worn book lay open on the sill, ready for whoever might read next. Sunlight streamed through the window, illuminating the open pages of the worn book. 3 inscriptions now shared the title page, a mother, a father, and their children. A gentle breeze turned the pages, each one carrying whispers of the past. The book had become a vessel of love, passed from heart to heart across the years. There was no need for explanation. The gift was its own meaning. In the quiet, the story rested, ready to live again whenever someone opened it. The world outside was still, but inside these pages, A universe of love endured, from mother to son, from father to daughter, from them to eternity. The breeze turned the pages to white, then the cover closed softly. The worn book rested on the sill, its story finally complete and never-ending.